everybody, hope you're doing fantastic and well, and you are back here with Connor, you are back here with One Leeds Fan Channel, and today we have something a little bit different. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, Connor, where's RAPHINHA going to fit in? What's going on with Diego Llorente? Because all this has been masked by such a brilliant start by the Whites, and you know, we're doing so well at this moment in time. There's a great vibe around the club. We're going into the international break, but we don't care. It's 2 weeks break. We've just got a draw against one of the best sides in Europe. For me, we should have got the win. We were the better team on the day. So it's all well and good. It's all brilliant at Leeds. You know, we've got 7 points on the board. I'm buzzing with that. But you're forgetting about sort of the transfers right now, and not the pivotal transfer which came the other day, but I'm talking about the ones that have come previously. You know, we're talking about Diego Llorente. Is he the forgotten man all of a sudden? It just shows what a brilliant window Leeds United have had. Robin, Llorente, Rodrigo, RAPHINHA, the list goes on. But I want to do something right now, which is, it's going to be a bit of an analysis on where Llorente and where RAPHINHA are going to fit into this Leeds United squad. So come on this ride with me. Now, obviously I've done a bit of a player profile on RAPHINHA, so go check that out if you haven't already. It's pre-recorded, 10 minutes long, it might suit you a little bit, but I'm going to do a little bit of a chat about him initially. Listen, he was the third most creative player in Ligue 1 last year, which tells its own story. A phenomenal player. A lot of Rennes play is dynamic and comes from the wingers, which we've seen with Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. He played a traditional 4-4-2 formation, which enabled the winger to get involved a little bit more in terms of dynamism and creativity and innovativeness, which is why in this 4-1-4-1 system, I think he's going to be able to apply the same trade. Now, another really key asset of the 4-1-4-1 formation with RAPHINHA is with him already adapting to that 4-4-2 in Rennes' side. It combines two of his absolutely perfect attributes: balance and agility. Now, what happens regularly with Leeds United, we've seen it throughout the season, we've seen it under Marcelo Bielsa's tenure, what happens is the wingers normally face a one-on-one situation with either fullback numerous times during the game. The main illustration of this in the last game was obviously Mendy versus Poveda. Poveda getting the ball, standing Mendy up, and then it became a one-on-one situation. This is how Marcelo Bielsa likes to exploit the opposition's left backs and right backs. It puts them in a situation where they're isolated, they've got no backup because Click, Hernandez, whoever are occupying all the midfield players. Bamford's occupying the defensive players, so they can't go 2-on-1. You completely isolate the fullback, which is what Marcelo Bielsa has always done managerially through his career. But alongside that, in Ligue 1, what this requires with him playing this 4-4-2 formation, with him playing on the wing, with him isolating players on the wing, it also works the other way. So defensively, his agility, his balance, are really efficient in how he works. He gets back, he picks the ball up from deep, and because of his close control, because of his capabilities on the ball, he's able to bring Rennes from the defensive third to the midfield third to the attacking third, and it works in 3 phases, and he does that extremely well. The big thing with the 4-1-4-1 formation and utilising RAPHINHA is his ability to cut in. Now, obviously, with him playing on the right, he's a natural left footer. I compare him a lot to Riyad Mahrez. He's got all the same attributes. He just looks like a brilliant player to be able to cut in. Now, what he loves to do is cut in, create chances, shoots on target a lot of times as well. But the thing what he does as well, and it's all about creating space in this system. In the system where Leeds United are going to be playing in the Premier League, it's going to all be about space, because for me, you get more space in the Premier League. But if you can gain another yard or two, that's going to be completely beneficial for Leeds United, who are absolutely cutthroat when we have space. So when he's cutting inside, that's going to occupy another centre midfielder, that's going to occupy another central defender. It's going to enable the overlap for Luke Ayling as well, because the left-sided player is looking at him, is trying to mark him out of the game. Leeds are just going to naturally create a heck of a lot more with this guy in the side. Obviously, with the 3-3-1-3 formation as well, this is another tactic that can work for RAPHINHA. If he's pushed a little bit higher, if we're utilising sort of the wingers as centre forwards as well, we know that he can drop deep into the shadow striker role. We know that he's played in the cam role for Rennes as well. So as a 3 up top, if Leeds are utilising that historical traditional formation that Marcelo Bielsa likes to utilise, that could be very beneficial for Leeds United as well, because essentially we'll be extremely quick on the counter-attack. We saw it against Sheffield United, as you can see here, when Dallas sort of moved into the midfield, and we will utilise Rodrigo and RAPHINHA on the counter-attack. Now, Rennes have been seen in their division to play sort of a little bit of a low block, and that just utilises the 4-4-2 formation. Now, with our 4-1-4-1 formation, it's not a low block, it's never a low block, it's that attacking intensity everywhere. We've seen that against Liverpool, we've seen that against Manchester City. But what they do is they spring into attack very, very quickly, and that's where Rennes have been devastating. They utilise a player like RAPHINHA on that right-hand side, the centre-back or the centre midfielder will usually ping the ball out, and then they absolutely come forward extremely quickly. They're very good at offensively overloading, which has been one of their key traits, and their key traits of success, really. What I've noticed about him as well is he's extremely unselfish, which is only going to help players like Patrick Bamford, but I still think that offensive overload that Rennes have sort of mastered in the French league is going to be unbelievable for Leeds United, and we're going to see that so much. He's able to get the ball, as I've said, from third to third, from phase to phase, and he brings the team up, essentially, which is what we have from players like Helder Costa, what we have from players like Jack Harrison, and someone like Calvin Phillips just spraying the ball to someone like RAPHINHA. It's just going to be so beneficial for the side, and he's very unselfish as well, extremely unselfish, which you just hope someone like Patrick Bamford is going to be able to profit from. Now, the interesting thing is, when we've been talking about a central attacking midfielder, we've all been saying, you know, getting the likes of Todd Cantwell in is a necessity. But RAPHINHA also occupies and can occupy that central attacking midfield role. I've seen it a lot of times with Rennes, or his style of play can be quite central. You know, if he's bringing that ball from the defensive third into the midfield third, he has on numerous occasions occupied that central role. And as I've just said, that unselfish trait is absolutely massive. So could we see him occupy that role for Leeds United in the 3-3-1-3 role, or even sort of the 4-1-4-1 role? Obviously, if we're pushing you know, that cam a little bit further up, we could definitely see that. I think we're going to see a lot of Rodrigo and RAPHINHA sort of alternatives. I think one's got, you know, you're going to see Rodrigo go out wide throughout the game, you're going to see RAPHINHA come into the cam role, and maybe that's what Bielsa's thinking in terms of versatility, and do Leeds really need to go out there and get another cam? But the absolute essential attribute for being a cam is drawing defenders out, being skillful, being extremely good at dribbling. That's the reason we're looking at these certain players. But RAPHINHA can do that in absolute abundance, and that would also mean that we get to keep Helder Costa on that right hand side, but that would mean that Rodrigo maybe has to come out, and it just shows in all these positions we do have that depth. What of you might not know is that Rennes had the second best defensive record last year. They were absolutely phenomenal, and RAPHINHA was a massive contributor to that, because obviously you defend from the front, and RAPHINHA was absolutely no different in making sure that was a pivotal part of their success. He also made an average of 3.47 interceptions per 90 for a Rennes side that made an average of 36.75 interceptions per 90 in total, which is quite staggering for a winger. It's extremely good. So it is fair to say that he had a brilliant and very effective impact on their defensive block as well. Now with Llorente, I'm going to start sort of with the 3-3-1-3 formation, as you can see on screen. Now this back three for me is something that's really exciting, and we sort of saw this against Sheffield United, but instead of Llorente, we had Luke Ayling there, and I think we're all of the impression that this isn't going to last long. Llorente been out of this starting lineup, 20 million, part of Enrique's plans at Spain. He's very highly rated over there as well. So this once again means that Leeds can change up the system. It means that Leeds are going to be able to utilise varying systems and not just stick with the 4-1-4-1. I think the 4-1-4-1 naturally makes us a little bit more solid, of course it does, but I think with the three at the back now that we have got, you know, I mean, this formation that I've got underway here, as you can see, Luke Ayling actually misses out, but for me, in this system, he actually would miss out because Llorente would come in for him being that natural centre-back. But once again, there's so many variables that come to this formation. We've got Helder Costa, who's been replaced by RAPHINHA twice, which, you know, a lot of people might deem unfair, which, you know, that's fair enough. There's obviously, you've seen Luke Ayling taken out of this 3-3-1-3 formation. You know, there's so many different variables. Rodrigo's instead of Roberts, Rodrigo's there instead of Hernandez. So we could go on all day with different players in different positions, and that's the beauty of Leeds now. We've got so much depth. But Robin and Diego Llorente can play in that defensive midfield role. We saw it especially at Sociedad, when the opposition teams played a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 formation, which will be interesting to see this year if there is a potential injury to Calvin Phillips. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Llorente's sort of defensive mishaps sometimes. You know, he'll spend too much time on the ball, he'll take too many risks, but that's what Bielsa loves. And in either formation, that is what Bielsa looks for someone. You know, we can't be having people who don't take risks. A lot of the time as well, what had happened at Sociedad is the fullbacks would bomb on, or the wing backs, and they would just leave the two centre backs exposed. You know, there's been occasions where Real Madrid's front four, Barcelona's front four are running at Llorente and Lenormand to be fully exposed. And yeah, that's not a good situation. But also, I think, you know, that lack of defensive midfielder maybe Sociedad didn't deploy was always going to be a little bit of a problem. So I think the fact that they've got Calvin Phillips, the fact that, you know, Llorente would have someone like Calvin Phillips in front of him, especially if they were in a back three, would only benefit him. He's very unique as well, Llorente, because if you watch him, he doesn't play side on like a lot of defenders do. You know, you see Liam Cooper, he's playing side on, he normally goes to his right foot because he's strongest is his left. So you don't see that with Llorente. It's almost, you'd think that he's a little bit flat-footed, but he's not. He's just extremely good at defending one-on-one. That's one of his key attributes. But the difference is, obviously, if someone skips past him, that is going to be where he's flat-footed, he's beaten, and he's going to find it very difficult to recover if he's not side on and if he's just square. But where he is very, very good is his aggression. His aggressions, his aerial battles. He consistently wins aerial battles. I couldn't believe his percentages when I looked at his how much he wins. I think he's only about 6'1", but what he wins, how he wins them. He's aggressive when, you know, he's touch tight with an attacker, which is only beneficial to either formation really, especially when you're playing in a sort of 4-1-4-1 rigid formation. I mean, Leeds, using the word rigid is tough, but when you're defending, it's got to be rigid. What Bielsa's going to love about this is his press, and you're aggressive in the press with any attacker. What he normally does, because of his passing ability as well, is being completely aggressive in exactly what he's doing, and then spreading the ball left, spreading the ball right, and getting his team on the counter-attack, which is one of the biggest things and why he can transition into a defensive midfielder as well. When I've watched a bit of Llorente's highlights, that aggression is a key point, because it's not just about making tackles, it is about being committed to that press, and you see that in his play, and it unnerves attackers. He gets the ball, starts his team moving, and that's why Luis Enrique loves him so much in that Spanish national side. And Leeds' block ratio against the top teams, even Man City, Liverpool, has been extremely impressive. You know, we saw with Liverpool, I think we broke a Premier League record. Llorente puts his body on the line, and his proactivity is something that's very, very impressive. You know, if you can't directly dispossess an opponent, he'll do absolutely everything else to put them off. Which is why, even when he's on the bench at Leeds, currently, he is in the Spanish national side, as I've just mentioned. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's just been a little bit different. How can, you know, the new boys, obviously Llorente is not featured yet, RAPHINHA's not featured yet, how they can fit into our systems and where it can benefit Leeds United. So I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure you slap a like on the video, and I'll see you in a bit.